Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and you'll notice we are on Assetto Corsa Competizione, doing a Delta Online Hot Lap Challenge here. The conditions are flashing up on your screen. We're around Catalunya in Barcelona, and I really want to try and get across to you what I'm thinking during these laps. So we're going to run through the lap in real time, then we're going to break it down section by section and then run through it in real time again, so you guys can get a real sense of what's going through your mind while I'm driving around this circuit. So like you've seen, we're in the Aston Martin coming into T1 here, braking just before the 100 metres board into second gear, try and get the tyre on the curb with the inside, on the power early, short shifting into third, try not to run too wide and turn in early into this right hand, to be patient on the throttle. If you go on the curb or the inside, be prepared for the back end to step out slightly as we cruise over to the left hand side of the track to brake underneath the bridge. Get the nose in early, off the throttle. As soon as you're back on, try and straighten up the steering until you're just drifting outside to this left hand curve. Flick over to the right hand side, brake on the dark markings on the curve. First gear, get as straight as exit as you can, short shift into second gear, and a little bit of a breather before we go down the hill into this awkward left hander. Turn in later than you think you need to. You can go over that curve, but it's awkward. Straight on the exit, up the hill into fourth gear. Now turn in after the curve on the left hand side. A lot of people turn in on the end of that curve, but you've got a lot of room on the outside. If you hit that curve on the inside, you're just going to understeer wide. Just before the 100 metre board, braking in a straight line, first gear, start turning as soon as you're in first gear, straight that exit, aim for the end of the yellow sausage curve, slightly cut this a little bit. Now, patient. Now we go full power. Let's try and straighten the steering as possible. You can use all the Aston on the outside, a little bit of throttle to balance the car on entry here, brake under the bridge, first gear, blind entry into the chicane, a little bit of throttle to stabilise the car again, aim for the end of that sausage curve, and that's the lap around Catalunya. I think we probably need to break that down, don't we? It goes pretty quick when you're talking. So let's have another look at it, and I'll try and get across to you guys exactly what's going through my mind for each corner. So we're braking into this first corner. You're aiming just before that 100 metre board, so this green zone in front is really where you want to be hitting the brake. The red zone, you can make it then, but it's not ideal if I'm honest with you. You've got to be going wide into the first corner, and that's just going to upset your whole first sector. Okay, I'm going to pause it here again. You're aiming to get your front right tyre in that green zone, whether you hook it on the inside of that little sausage or not. The same here, but if you hit the sausage, you're going to have some issues. It's not too bad, but notice how we're on full power here, third gear. We're turning as much as we dare to without trying to go too wide. Patient on the throttle here, and I could have got away with being on full power a little bit earlier, as you can accelerate harder going around that corner. Again, pause it here. We've got the bridge up above us, this green zone around where this white line is on the left hand side. The aim of this corner is to get the nose in early. You see, we're virtually brake while turning right, sort of using that trail brake technique. We need to aim for the inside curb, and as soon as we feel the back end just gripping, we need to straighten and open the steering, and then we go on full power. See, I'm aiming for that inside curb. Power on, straighten the steering as much as you dare so you can get that confidence to go out to this left hand side. Flick over to the right hand side of the track, and you'll notice there isn't really a braking point here. There are some markers on the middle of the track, some dark brake markers, and there's a little bit of a dark area on the curb up front. So I've done my best to try and find something, but this is definitely a corner where you can get away with braking later than you think you can. You can dive into it, you can cut back on the exit, and it depends who you're racing as well. If you can dive up the inside, but if someone is going to do that, you can hang it around the outside pretty confidently on this corner, as long as you nail the exit. It's all about getting a straight exit on this corner. As you see, we drop down into first gear. We're actually turning quite early, just clip the curb, but as soon as we're on full power, we're short shifting into second and the steering straightens up. Really awkward left hand here. A lot of people struggle with this. Make sure you don't get your tyre on the grass or the curb on the right hand side, because you will end up in that Sparko advertising board on the right hand side. You need to turn in again later than you think you need to. This corner is all about getting a nice exit up the hill into the next corner. Remember, you've got a lot of room on the outside. Just straight line this exit. Avoid the curb on the inside because you're gonna oversteer. and you're gonna, well, you're gonna oversteer immediately, but then it will shove you to the outside of the track. So you need to avoid most of it. You can get away with it a lot of the time, but notice how straight the steering is here while we're on full power already. Up towards the hill. A lot of people use the end of this curve as a turning point, but you've got to think just a couple of meters after that is where you need to turn in. If you hit the inside curb on this corner, you are just going to understeer off unless you really hook up on the inside of it. So turn in a little bit later than you think, off throttle, and as soon as you're confident, 3/4 and then full power as soon as you can. You've got a lot of room on the outside. There's a big old curve. You see we were 2/3 throttle there, then full power. Big curve on the outside, and you've got a little bit of a breather before you're searching for this 100 metres board on the right hand side. You're going to brake just before it. If you brake on that 100 metre board in this car with these track conditions, which are optimum, you're going to brake too late. Straight line braking, I've paused it here because I've just started to turn and I'm just about to go into first gear. And you see actually the corner entry, the apex, is blind right now. We've got the A-pillar in the way there with the scaffolding in the car. And a lot of people ask me, how do you actually see the apex of these slower corners on this game? But that's the trick. You know where it is because you can't see it. So you're kind of predicting that it's where the front A-pillar of the car is. And as soon as we flick down into first gear, because we're turning in early, you'll see we actually see the apex where we need to turn in. Again, stay straight, aim for the end of that yellow sausage curve. It's all about being on the power early here, but trying to straighten up the steering as much as possible. It's not a long straight, but if you slide there, it's going to upset you through this whole last section. A little bit wider on entry than a lot of people here, but what you don't want to do is get on the inside curve here, because you'll just spin the inside tyre, you'll light the rears up, and it'll just end badly for you. Really tricky one here. We know we need to be braking into this zone, this green zone here, but it's tricky to find an actual point. So I've paused it here. And the best I could do for you is actually this wall on the right hand side going through the wiper. Obviously this is specific to this car, but if you get used to sort of feeling in your peripheral vision where that wall is, and you can sense the corners. You come over the crest of the hill, you can feel where the corner is, and it's all about being a little bit cautious. So I'm just going to play it again. Braking when we come over the crest of the hill, a little bit of power to stabilise the car, and now we're in this really awkward final chicane. A lot of people, including myself, have a lot of problems across multiple games with this corner, and we know we're going to be braking somewhere under this bridge, okay, and really it depends how you go through that right hander beforehand. If you take too much speed into it and you're on the inside of this final chicane, then obviously you're going to need to brake earlier and harder and make sure you're really set up for this. But I get a bit of a kick of oversteer here, and that really sets me up quite nicely. I'm just going to pause it again here just to highlight the stability that I'm putting on the car using that 2/3 throttle sort of technique that we saw earlier in the lap. That enables me just to get over to the left-hand side as much as I can, and then I use the throttle just to stabilise the car through the right-hander. And as soon as I think I'm through, I'm on full power. And we're back around the last corner, which is completely flat and very easy, unless you're under pressure where it doesn't become too easy. We have a look at the splits then. We actually had a pretty good lap. A first sector, I think purple in the first sector was a 29.050, so about a tenth and a bit down there. But for the rest of them, it's not too bad. We've done pretty well there. So let's have another look at the lap. Putting those things into practice. I don't like going over the Astra on the left-hand side here. I just feel like it makes the car understeer going into this first corner, which isn't ideal really. Don't go too wide. I actually go too wide for my liking there, but I managed to recover by lifting up quite early going around this right-hander. Make sure you're on the power early but smoothly, and again you can run all the way, and I do like using the Astra to widen the entry into this right-hander. Turn in early, aim for that curve, wait for the front end to bite, and then you're on full power. Just cruising out to this left-hand side. Look for the dark area of the curve, and on the track, first gear, straight exit, short shift into second, because you will redline. If you try and keep it in first, then you're going to redline, which is it's just catastrophic. Awkward corner here, a lot of time off throttle, but try and pick up the throttle as early as you can, but as straight as you can as well. Think just after the curve here, just after, and as soon as you see that apex, you're on full power again, because you've got all this room on the outside. Looking for that 100-meter board on the right hand side, braking in a straight line, but down into first gear as soon as you can. Start to turn. Pick up the apex, the throttle gently on the apex. Go over this Astra on the left hand side, a little bit wider on entry than you think you mentioned. Remember not to pick up the curb on the inside, as you will spin that inside rear tyre up. Use as much of the track as you can. Look for the wall on the right hand side. A little bit of throttle to stabilise. Brake under the bridge, first gear. Let off the throttle. Use a little bit of throttle to stabilise, and then as soon as you clear, get on that sausage curb. Straddle it if you really need to, and you're away for another lap. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that, and as ever, any support and shares, likes, subscribes are much appreciated, and you know, any feedback as well. I hope you enjoyed this. It's the first track guide on ACC. Many more to come. Until next time, see you guys then.